He truly thinks he's doing what's right, but she has to be so strong in order to lie to his face. Her and Alexa bonded very, very quickly. I just knew that we had something special. And he's blasting paintballs at Alexa. I truly feel she's going to be like a star. Why can't this continue just a little bit longer?
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Heart in Motion podcast. I'm so excited today to be visiting with Jason Bourque, director, and in this case, writer also for an upcoming project. So, Jason, thanks so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much. I love doing these type of podcasts, especially when a movie is going to be out in on the 26th. So it's
Yeah.
coming up fast.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so excited to talk about your new project, and hopefully we'll get to visit a little bit more about other projects that you've got in the works. First of all, I just want to thank you. This isn't our first interaction. You know that I do a Kevin McGarry countdown at the end of the year. Just fun to kind of keep community. And you were so gracious last winter, I guess I should say, to jump on board for that countdown. I know you directed A Reason for the Season, and so many fans were excited that you were a part of that countdown. So let me just start by saying thank you for being a part
Aw.
of that.
Anytime. Yeah, Kevin was awesome. And that movie's very close to my heart. It's one, no one sets out to make obviously a bad movie. But when everything comes together to make a great movie, it's like, wow. And the algorithm that we had there of just having such amazing leads and such a great script. And yeah, it was one of my favorites, I think, that I've ever done as far as Christmas movies go.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for, yeah, that whole countdown was wonderful.
Well, we had a good time with it and loved that movie. One of our favorites. So thankful that you were a part of that. Jason, can you tell everybody a little bit about your background, how you got into directing? Because you've been
Sure.
doing this for quite a while.
It's crazy. I started doing short films and music videos while I was working in film. I got my degree in visual arts and sculpting and painting. Got in doing like props and set deck, and I was a production coordinator and a little bit of production management. So I kind of failed upwards, but I was always shooting on weekends. And that never stopped. I was always writing my own work. I've always been a storyteller. So those shorts and music videos kind of paved the way into doing my first television movie back in like 2002. Uh, yeah, it starred Tracy Gold from Growing Pains.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was
I was a big
Wildfire.
Growing Pains fan.
It was, yeah, called Wildfire 7, and that kind of got the ball rolling. And I jump around a lot, as you saw on my IMDb. I love sci-fi, I love thrillers, I love rom-coms. I'm a little harder maybe to put in a box and pigeonhole as far as that type of thing goes, but I always try to make the best possible movie, whether it's called Stonados or whether it's like some crazy sci-fi disaster movie. I'm gonna find the heart of it, which is usually family, usually the characters, as we know. And yeah, I make it work. So for me, it's not work, honestly. It's I'm just blessed to be doing this job.
That's
So
amazing. Do you have a project when you're looking back that you're like, okay, this was I know actors say this, it's like this was the project that I got to leave being a waiter and I was a full-time actor. Do you have a project where you're like, yeah, this is what I'm gonna do?
it's funny. I mean, looking back, I certainly have like movies that I know were like pinnacle to, yes, I'm finally writing, directing, and producing, and it's completely my vision. And that was a project called Blackfly that meant a lot to me. That was loosely inspired by growing up in the Maritimes, on the east coast of Canada. So that one meant a lot. But I do know that while I was working as a production coordinator, I saw a couple movies back to back. I think it was like The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing, and Alien, and I knew that I just wanted to tell stories. And I knew that I had to focus completely on directing, working for other people and being like a cog in the wheel just wasn't working out. Like I said, I kind of failed upwards. I think I was like fired from props. Set deck didn't exactly work out, although I was a art department kid. So I definitely failed upwards.
It's
Kept my
nice.
eye on the prize, Stephanie.
It's-
That's what I did. I kept the eye on the prize.
Sounds
And
very strategic if you ask me.
I think so. I mean, now I'm like, what would I do if I didn't write and direct? I have no idea. I guess I would direct traffic if I could. I would just direct whatever I could. It's like Yeah, it's hard to shut it off, to be honest, the creative ideas. It's harder for my partner because it's I don't know if you're like this in relationships with this type of stuff, but I mean it's kind of hard to shut it off, those creative
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
Comes
Yeah.
creative procrastination. You're walking the dog, you're still thinking.
It's going. It's going.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
exactly.
totally get it. Yeah. And sometimes it's like, why can't it stop? But
I
it's
know. I know. So yeah, so I'm constantly directing, which is good and a blessing. I write a lot. I just finished a rom-com script that I'm hugely excited about. Uh,
great.
and yeah, and I usually do about 3 to 4 of these television movies a year while I also write and produce. So it's
Okay.
a triple threat.
I love
And
it.
all aspects, and as long as I'm working with a wonderful creative team, I'm all in. So I have no ego with that type of thing. I work with a lot of first-time directors as well. And I mentor and yeah, I just I'm definitely part of the British Columbia community. Now that I'm this veteran because I've been around for so freaking long. So
But that's so cool that you know the industry, you know the job that you're able to give back and kind of help
yeah.
um, lead those others that are coming along.
Oh, totally. And that's always been my philosophy. I've always been someone who like comes around, it always comes around. Why you have to be nice to the production assistant who's parking the cars and why you have to be nice to someone in set deck. Who's to say that in a few years they're going to produce? They could have been like me when I first started as a production coordinator, and I ended up now I write and direct and produce, but you just never know. And I've always had that philosophy of giving back to the community, and as I mentioned, I mentor a lot of up and coming directors, and I also have a lot of directors that shadow me as well.
Yeah.
So it's just my mandate. It's the way I was brought up by very good parents.
That's
So.
awesome. Well, clearly it's working for you. You've been nominated and have won several Leos. Can you tell me, like, what is a Leo? And then also, what does it mean to you to be recognized in that way so many times?
So yeah, the Leos, they cover feature films, television series, and television movies, also documentaries and a few other categories. But it's basically the excellence on the West Coast, excellence in Canada. And it's a wonderful event. It's very community orientated. I always know the directors that I'm competing against, and they always kick a whole lot of butt. I think last time I was going up against a friend of mine, Lucy Guest, who had a fantastic Christmas movie. We were just surrounded by amazing talent,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and it is a small community. So when you think of Hallmark, especially, I know all of those directors, and we rotate through a number of different production companies.
Got
But
it.
yes, it is an award for excellence. So it's always a wonderful feeling to be to be recognized.
Yeah. Well, it's so great that, when you know that you've put all of that hard work in and you want to give it your best, that occasionally one of those recognitions pop up. So that's something to be celebrated.
Oh, I love it. I truly do. I won an award for it was a Christmas movie, a world record Christmas, and we also won an award not just for excellence, but it was for basically it has to do with the highest level of just the human spirit in media, which was we won that out of New York. And it's again, I love movies that make people feel good
Yeah.
and that give you a big hug at the end.
Yeah.
All that being said, as I mentioned, I'm a little hard to pigeonhole. So I love thrillers and I love suspense, and that's exactly what we were going for when we jumped into Before Your Father Finds Us. Very heavy on suspense, even though it was quite a spiritual journey
Yeah.
uh, that the main character takes.
So that's a great segue to
Like
talk a
how I did
little
that?
bit.
It's kind
It was really good. We'll act like we practiced that beforehand. Before Your Father Finds Us comes out, like you said, on the 26th. It's the first time that Lifetime has done this type of faith-based film series, which I know is commendable to them for branching out like that. Can you start by just telling us a little bit? How'd you get involved in this project?
So it was through a company that I'd worked with previously. I did a few movies for them, like Counterfeiting in Suburbia, Hot Wired in Suburbia. A lot of movies about like moms, where moms go on a rampage. I did one called oh, let's see, it was Sarah Butler was in it. It was basically lots of kidnapped kids and don't poke the mama bear.
Got it.
Yeah. So yeah, Woman on the Run. I think it was Woman on the Run, and then I did another one, Mother on the Edge. So back when I was doing these Lifetime movies, it became a bit of a niche for me. Admittedly, I kind of branched off into doing Christmas and rom-coms, which I totally loved. But when this one landed on my lap, specifically, it was because I have a background also doing action movies. And the premise of it, of having two special forces, mom and dad, kind of reminded me almost of like a Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh
But
yeah.
so we have block shootouts, we have a grenade being thrown, we have some interesting fight sequences. And that's something that I happen to have in my back pocket. So having that experience, I think, came into it, as well as the fact that I'm an established writer. And I think the script had a lot of fantastic elements to it. But when I came on, it actually didn't have that spiritual element that Lifetime was looking for. So I brought that into it, as well as just fleshing out the voices of the characters, fleshing out the arcs. But yeah, it's an interesting mix, eh? Like having the spiritual element, and then we had the thriller and a little bit more action than what you would expect.
Well, I think it's exciting that that Lifetime is going to, they've got an audience, I imagine. There's a lot of people that watch Lifetime for those thrillers, but now to have that opportunity to bring in maybe a different audience that, first of all, follows Alexa PenaVega, that follows Jaeda Lily Miller, who's on When Calls the Heart, some of those more, grounded in faith type films. That's pretty exciting. I love also the fact that you co-wrote and also directed this. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and anytime I can get my hands on the script, to be honest, even back in the Hallmark realm, there's director polishes. There's a lot of creative problem solving that happens with the producers once you're given a script, and you got to figure out, okay, how do we shoot this in 15 days? And that production polish, I'm very hands-on. So this one was one of the few times I could come on board, and I got the co-writing credit based on so much was brought to it, especially, again, the spiritual journey that Alexa's character takes. It begins in a church, it ends in a church. It's very much about, there's a very much a sense of community as well. With the ending that we have, which I think is quite powerful. But ultimately, it's funny because I've worked a lot on these Lifetime movies, and this one especially, it's been so long since I've had a lead female character that's so incredibly empowered. And you probably feel that when you watch the trailer to it.
Yes.
Like, this has teeth. Like, she's
not messing around.
She's not messing around. And the power of that, I felt it when I saw the trailer. I thought Lifetime did a wonderful job summing that up, and how far you would go to protect your child. And then you have Tahmoh Penikett, who I've worked with forever, dating back to like 2002 even. He was in the first television movie that I directed.
Well, that's awesome.
Wildfire 7, the one that I had mentioned. So it was fantastic. Like having him on board, almost like an evil version of Reacher, from Amazon. Like he's very physical. He's an incredible actor. He has that background of Battlestar Galactica and all these other amazing TV series. So to have him on board in combination with the Lachlan Monroe, who's a good friend of mine, who I was able to get on board, it's almost like a favor because he's so incredibly busy. And Lachlan, are you familiar with Lachlan Monroe?
I don't think so.
You know what? He is our generation, especially. I know I'm older than you are, but if you look him up, Lachlan, he's literally in everything.
I'm sure, and I'm horrible with names. I'm sure the minute that I see a picture, I'm going to be like, oh yeah, exactly.
Night at the Roxbury
and
phone. Scary Movie. So we had him come on board, and Alexa was hugely excited because Lachlan was part of her movies that she grew up on as a teenager.
Yeah.
So it was a big thrill to have Lachlan on board, and he plays the FBI agent who's trying to track them down.
Oh, yes, 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 yes. I'm with you
Lachlan.
now. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I just needed to know the character. There we
Oh yeah,
go.
everyone knows Lachlan. Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, so
So
we had
did
an excellent cast.
did Lifetime ask you to bring in that faith-based element, or was it, I'm going to write this in, and then Lifetime was like, all right, let's go for it?
It was a combination. So it was something that we thought we could work in anyway to flesh out her arc. And then it's sort of a give and take. And then as we have the discussion with Lifetime, and right before I do a lot of the polishing, the rewrites, it's like, well, we do pitches. Well, how about if we do something along these type of lines? Because you have a character who she has lied to her community, essentially. I'm not giving too much away, but she's in the witness protection program. She's
Okay.
extremely religious. She's in a community where her one best friend knows what's up, but her boyfriend does not. Her own daughter, when all of this went down and she had to testify against her husband, her own daughter was 4 and barely remembers about names being changed and having to hide and
Mm.
this threat. But she's always been looking over her shoulder. But in order to do that, she's lied about everything. As far as everyone in the community are concerned, she's a widow. When in actuality, she's had this horrible husband who's been in prison with this military background, and he used to be a mercenary, essentially. So it has a lot of those elements, and being deeply religious and having to be on this. This was the original title, was a road to deception, because she's literally, it's a road to redemption, but the deception aspect of it weighs very heavy on her soul.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's really funny that you mentioned Road to Deception, because on IMDb they're both listed, and I was like,
Yeah.
2 movies? That's great.
Yeah, we gotta clean that up. We gotta, yeah. But that was the original title, was yeah, Road to Deception. So yeah, so it's kind of like a give and take. Like you have these type of scripts, you go back and forth with Lifetime. It gets fleshed out, and to be honest, a lot of it happens very quickly when something's greenlit. So as well as the prep of the movie,
Mm.
Hallmark is the same way. It's amazing how much of the script is being adjusted, because once it's actually greenlit, that's when the Lifetime execs suddenly have to, like, they got to give it some attention.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you shared that Alexa PenaVega, she plays Sophia, the mother, and you've
Yes.
also shared that former husband Mason,
Yes. Yes.
is in prison. And then what you haven't shared, which is out there, is where the thriller aspect of it comes into play. So can you talk to us a little bit about what happens that sends Sophia and Emily on the run?
Yeah, this is going to sound not much of a spiritual movie, and more of like just almost like a Netflix thriller. But what happens is that because she's in the witness protection program, it turns out that Tahmoh, her husband Mason, a few members of his old squad are actually FBI agents, and they blow her cover. So when he escapes from prison, he literally shows up on her doorstep, and he wants his family back, and she lies to him. It's like, hey, listen, I'll get our daughter. Let's talk this out. It's incredible that she actually thinks he got out on bail, and until it's
Mhm.
all on the news. So so basically what she has to do, she knows she can't trust anyone. She can't trust the police. She can't trust the FBI. But she has skills. She has very special skills. I know that sounds like Liam Neeson from, like, Taken, but she ends up taking her daughter, and they go to almost like this abandoned lake house that's completely off the grid. And because she has these skills, they can lay traps. And we got very into some fine details. It's interesting. You could take like fishing hooks, and they
Yeah,
line windowsills with fishing hooks,
yeah.
and they have the cans, which they put a perimeter of cans, and they also have an old bear trap as well. As well. Yeah, so they set a few different traps, knowing that he's ultimately going to come and find them.
Got
So
it.
it's very much in that sort of an isolated type area, but we found the ultimate, most incredible lake house location. That's a stunner. It's funny. You can sometimes, when you work on these movies, if you can find that one location that just anchors it and is just so incredibly beautiful, and that's what we found.
Got it.
So it's beautiful, yet again, there's so much tension and suspense. especially in that last couple of acts. It's a nail biter.
Where did you film this?
So we filmed it. I do a lot of my filming in BC. I have in British Columbia. So
Yeah.
I've a lot of filming also in other provinces. This definitely fit the whole BC vibe. It's almost like Pacific North, Northwest
Yes.
Gothic. We have wonderful trees and fog and beautiful areas that just totally suited this one. So we filmed it just outside of Vancouver. It's called like Maple Ridge, Pitt Meadows. Yeah, it's a little more, again, we went with the isolation factor to it. But as I mentioned, like, yeah, lots of stunts and more fight scenes and beautifully shot. Justin Sebastian, a director of photography that I do a lot of my Hallmark movies with, he came on board this one and just nailed it. So it feels a lot more cinematic. It feels like a feature film to me, which I was very happy about.
You can see both of those elements, both the whole Pacific Northwest kind of like rainforesty look, and even that cinematic in just the trailer alone. So it's pretty exciting to see that in just the short clip that
Yeah.
we've seen.
Yeah, it worked out so incredibly well. And then, of course, the acting is the main thing. The bond, which is the heart of it, between Jaeda and Alexa was amazing. A quick side note, Jaeda, I directed Jaeda 8 years ago, and it was the first role she ever did. And it was on a show called Untold Stories of the ER. It was like one of those like TLC shows. Have you ever
Okay.
seen those?
Oh
It's
yeah. Oh yeah.
the worst crud you can ever imagine that goes down in an ER. And I think she might have been like 7 at the time, but she
She would have been.
actually had the photo. And a couple years back, I was even scouting the location and we came across her parents' house. And I literally remember them saying, "Oh, Jaeda from blah, blah, blah." And at that point, her career had totally taken off. And they had to remind me and they showed me the same picture. So on
Yeah.
set, she had to
Yeah.
bring out the same picture of me and her from like 8 years ago when we first worked together.
Isn't
Um,
it amazing to see? First of all, that's so much fun to see when those full circle moments happen. But hasn't it been fun, I imagine, to see how her career, like, she starts
oh,
out as this 6-year-old and like now what she's doing.
I know. She's her instincts are amazing. Like I truly feel she's gonna be like a star. It's stamped on her forehead and so incredibly fun and bubbly and great to work with. On set, the energy and it's something that I always lean on is it's playtime. Yes, we have to move quickly and it's amazing sometimes the ambitiousness of some of these days. But we had an absolute blast making this movie. Absolute blast. The location I mentioned was beautiful. Like we had mornings where it's like we're shooting and we look over and 40 feet away, there's just some deer watching us, just munching on a leaf. It's like we're just watching the show. Yeah, the big joke on set was that Alexa was like a Dr. Doolittle because anytime she would shoot, these animals would come out. Just chipmunks, deer, just checking us out.
That's so fun. So, talk a little bit about working with Alexa and Tahmoh and Jaeda. What was it like working with the three of them?
It's interesting. Like Tahmoh probably had they all have challenges. Tahmoh's character, the biggest thing, we didn't want him to be like a Terminator. We wanted him to have depth. And we know on a lot of these Lifetime movies, sometimes we didn't want the cliche typical evil husband. And we wanted to make sure that as a villain, he truly thinks he's doing what's right. And I think that's kind of key. The best villains actually feel deep down that they are completely justified. And that fully came across. And also, in order to bring in some extra levels to Tahmoh's character, it was very much about the love that he has for Jaeda's character, and that was key. So the levels that Tahmoh had to bring to it was very complex, and he totally nailed it because he's a veteran. He has that ability. He also loves doing his own stunts, and he does have like a hunting background as well. So for him, it's really tailor made to his skill set, which is fantastic. With Alexa, I mean, it's funny being like a child actor from Spy Kids, eh?
Yeah.
She's she's so at home on set and with everybody, there's literally no ego. she's just, there's none of that. She's part of the crew. And it's I've worked with some actors where, you know, you do a take and off they go to their trailer, and she's not like that. Very much about bonding and the experience of creating almost like a family uh, feel to the entire production, and that stems from Alexa. So she's very family orientated and very spiritual, and she very much connected to this character and that arc that we discussed of having to basically deceive this community that brought her in. So it's yeah, we had a wonderful time. We have to shoot these very quick. But luckily, and Jaeda's now a veteran, you know, because she's young, but my God, she's done so much.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they can nail it very quickly, working out the emotional beats.
Got it.
Yeah, so anyway, that's the process. Every actor's different, eh? Every actor has when I start a movie, I always have this discussion. It's my partner in crime talk, where I need to know what makes them tick. Some actors, they may not want to be first up when we do coverage. They may want to be like third up or fourth up, or they might be like, I might take 3 takes or 4 takes. Or you have someone who's a child actor and it's like, hey, I'll nail it on 1 take, then I burn out. It's like, great, I know that. Now I can kind of work around that. It's not like personality management. It's more of like, what can I do to safely provide them with the sandbox to give us the best role, give us the best acting. So, yeah. So anyway, that's part of my process, is truly understanding what makes these actors tick, so we can give them everything they need in order to give an incredible performance.
Wow, that's so cool. So you mentioned that this is a little bit of a thriller. There's that faith element. There's also some adventure. So I imagine that there had to be some challenges with producing this film. So what were some of those challenges that you got? And I mean, time for one thing, I imagine, but
Yeah, it's, you know, it's interesting. We know that on a lot of sets now, especially with guns, everything is always so incredibly safe. Working with props, working with an armor. Now we don't use blanks on set. When you have a muzzle blast, it's now something we do in visual effects. All that being said, in order to make this a little more physical, we used something called a Zerk gun.
okay.
So a gun, it's a paintball gun, except the paintballs that it shoots, you could either have a magnesium paintball that creates an actual spark, or you can have a dust ball that feels like it's hitting like a tree or it's hitting a rock. So when we have these gun shootouts, there's a guy off to the side with a paintball gun, and he's blasting paintballs at Alexa and Tahmoh in order to create all the physical, like not in visual effects, like they're literally dodging paintballs.
It's so cool.
that create the bursts of dust. And as I mentioned, we actually have it's in the trailer. I mean, we have a practical explosion, and those are always within that time frame. You don't usually get the opportunity to do a practical explosion in a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
So to have this scene with Alexa and Jaeda, where it's like a grenade canister has to be thrown at Tahmoh, was certainly not something we do every day. Basically, you create a mortar of like debris and flame. But again, lots of fun, very different, more unique, and it appealed to my skill set, because I've done a lot of action movies, incorporating a lot of those elements so we could move quickly and safely, and they all loved it.
Not
So
something you'd find in your typical Christmas rom-com, right?
no, but hey, I love Christmas rom-com. The last one I just did, we had a ton of stunts. It was funny how that worked out too.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Was there, and I know you can't share too much, but was there like a moment as you were filming that you were like, and I'm sure it happened at some point, but where was that point where you're like, this is going to be really good?
Oh, wow. There's so many. There's a scene that plays when Tahmoh shows up at her door, and the character that Alexa's playing, her entire world just crumbles, but she has to be so strong in order to lie to his face but she literally just found out that he actually, you know, killed a guard and escaped from prison. And here he is lying to her, like, hey, just got out on a parole, love to talk. You know, a friend kind of helped me out. I tracked you down, but it wasn't, you know, scary or anything. I just would love to talk to you and Jaeda. And he's being so sincere, and he
Yeah.
truly wants to get his family together. And she's so incredibly scared. And the way she played it was beautiful. So for me, at that point, I just knew that we had something special. That type of tension, and it's all about nuance.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to have that wall up that she's like trying to like smile through it. Very powerful. So even though, again, I love the stunts and the action and the
Yeah.
style and all that type of stuff, ultimately it comes down to the characters. And yeah, again, Alexa played it so powerful that I just loved it.
Wow. Was there anything from the three of them that surprised you? I mean, I imagine with all of the stunts and all of that, that you're like, wow, like this is a level that I didn't even.
You know, it's I never worked with Alexa before. I knew that she had a background, that she's a bit of a tomboy. Like when she was telling me like on her property that they drive around like dirt bikes and she can actually shoot guns.
Yeah.
It's like she has that ability, and she's always been like that. So I didn't know that. So we actually had a stunt double for Alexa, who we utilized a little bit, but for the most part, when it came down to the one of the big fight scenes, she was all in. And that again, ultimately, I guess I was a little surprised but again, she has that ability. She
Hmm.
can throw kicks and punches and wallop someone with a big stick.
I
She
love
has
it.
the ability, as I said, which for me, anytime that I have to work with stunt doubles, I would obviously prefer to work with the actual actors.
Yeah.
And Tahmoh was all in on that. Brendan Zub, also, who we had playing her boyfriend, was also in on that. So they gave, as actors, they all went the extra mile. It all felt like they went above and beyond, knowing we were making something special. And you
Yeah.
could truly feel that. There's a fight sequence between Tahmoh and Brendan. And again, like Brendan's like, he's playing like a guy that owns like a restaurant, and here's Tahmoh, who's like Reacher, you know, and that fight scene is it's a jaw dropper. That's all I'm gonna say. It's
That's so
when you
cool.
check that out. Yeah, I can't wait
Yeah.
for you to see it.
Yeah. So you've shared a little bit about, you're out filming and Alexa may be the animal whisperer or whatever. So were there any other fun behind the scenes moments that you can share?
Oh boy. Good question. I know, like, again, when we had the practical explosion, they all wanted to be there for it because we're all still like kids in a candy
Oh
store.
yeah.
We're all excited by the process. We've all been on so many shows, but anytime someone's going to set off an explosion, everybody has to gather around. It's like you get giddy with excitement.
Yeah.
So that, I think, was just fun. We all felt like kids. Again, all done very safe, but anytime there's something that we don't expect, anytime that there's action sequences and stunts, there's just this whole other level of excitement on set. And to be fair, I love Christmas movies, and the crew had worked on a lot of Christmas movies. But it's always a nice break to do like a thriller with all these very unique action sequences. So that for us, again, it was just
Yeah.
a lot of giddy excitement, knowing that it was very ambitious. We had to put in a lot of hours, but we were all, in the end, I think, again, we knew we had something very special. Yeah, I was trying to think of a few other moments, but yeah, it's we just had a lot of fun. And again, Jaeda had a great sense of humor, so I think her and Alexa bonded very, very quickly,
Yeah.
which was key. We
Yeah.
also, like some of these shows, we move so quickly. Sometimes the actors don't have a lot of time to discuss the roles. But with Alexa and Tahmoh, especially, they all took the time to really dive in super deep in order to work those levels.
Cool.
And again, I think you can tell when you watch the movie.
Yeah. That's exciting. So, for viewers at the end of watching the film coming up in another week, what do you hope that they get out of it?
I think the healing power and the of community, I think, is key. I think there's a lot of messages in this movie. ultimately. And what I'd love for them to get out of it is like for them to say, hey, where's the sequel?
There
Because
you
it's such
go.
a great setup. And we all kind of felt that as well. We also felt like, hey, this could be on Netflix if if you add in another $10 million. Because the setup and the acting was so incredibly good. The only difference, honestly, is that maybe Netflix has even bigger, obviously, action sequences. And instead of 15 days, they spend 45 days shooting it. But yeah, I do feel like, and joking aside, about the sequel, I do feel that it leaves the audience wanting more, without a doubt. And I think the audience is going to want to spend a lot more time with these characters. And that's
Mm.
always where I love to end a movie, where it's like, why can't this continue just a little bit longer? Because you've gotten to know them. And I think that has to do with the power of that ending, which I was very excited about.
So is there the potential for a sequel?
I think it's interesting because of the adventure style, the thriller action element, and there's a
Mhm.
little bit more action, possibly. I mean, I do feel that for me anyway, the balance worked really nicely, especially with the spiritual element. So maybe we'll see more movies from Lifetime like this. I
Yeah,
think could be a
yeah,
possibility.
got it.
As we know, I think this audience of it's like the pure flicks, it's like the Great American Family. Lifetime kind of dipping their big toe into this pool,
Mhm.
I think it was a great idea.
Yeah, yeah,
And I do feel it's going to pay off for them with the ratings, to be honest.
yeah. Well, and we just definitely need to make sure that we get the word out that
Yes.
if there's people out there that don't typically watch Lifetime, if they're not necessarily in that thriller genre, but maybe they'll give this a go and really let Lifetime know how much they enjoy it. So that's
I
pretty
hope
cool.
so. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
talking with I get texts from Tahmoh, and knowing that the premiere is coming up, and he has a huge fan base, and we were talking about how he can tap into that as well, because it's I think there's aspects of this. It's not just like I think it appeals to men as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
For
again,
sure.
sometimes it feels like the moms and wives have to drag their husbands over to the couch to watch one of these movies. But I think this one has a very strong appeal to it, and maybe it is
Yeah.
because of a little bit more of that Reacher element to it, and the special forces,
Mhm.
and this extra level. I think that elevates it.
Well, and you
Yep.
mentioned Tomo's fan base. I think something that this movie really has going for it is that Tomo and Alexa and Jada all have strong fan bases in different areas. And
Yes,
so that could definitely be an asset for this film.
totally. I do feel it appeals to a different demographic, slightly
Mhm.
different within again the Lifetime sandbox of what their audience is. This feels like we've pushed that out a little bit more, and yeah, I think it has just a lot of mass appeal. But I can't wait. Send me a note when you see it. I'll love to hear what
Oh
you think.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely. You'll see, I'm sure, a lot of social media celebrating that out there. So we're really excited to see it. So will you talk a little bit more? Because you have talked about the Christmas movies that you do and those rom-coms.
Yes.
What is it like, shifting gears? What's it like? What's different in doing something like this project and then, shifting over and doing a Christmas movie, whatever network that might be on?
It's funny. As a director, I do approach them all the same way. And when I do a Hallmark movie, I truly feel like I'm not making a Hallmark movie. I'm making a movie that happens to air on Hallmark. So I don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Each film, I establish a very strong uh, cinematic language, and the cinematic language is what I create with the director of photography and also with the production designer. And and it's like from choosing the lenses, like knowing that like a Tomo, because of his character, we wanted to shoot him clean up close with like an 18 mil, so just to get more inside his head.
Yeah.
Whereas yeah, Alexa she's always connecting to characters, so she's always shot with like longer lenses, usually over the shoulders, dirty shots that incorporate little bits and pieces of other characters into her coverage, because she's all about connection. So the language is something I apply to a rom-com, the same language I apply to a Lifetime. Lifetime movies, I get to play a little bit more with oneers, those steady cam shots
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
don't have a lot of coverage to it. I know that with the style of Hallmark is pretty snappy. So if I have an emotional scene in a Hallmark movie, I have to protect for that, because sometimes the breadth of those moments of silence get kind of cut down quite a bit. Also, it's deliverables. Like I think Hallmark is like 83 minutes, and we always have a script that's like 105 pages. So on average, I cut about 10 minutes out of every movie with the director's cut.
Wow.
So, but all that being said, yeah, I approach everyone the same way. I'm pretty goofy, so I have a pretty goofy sense of humor. So anything involving comedy with Hallmark, it just comes so easily. So I find when it comes down to the storytelling aspect of it, it is very easy for me to flip back and forth. And even when I'm doing thriller, I'm always looking for moments of levity and just moments that actually can be humorous, whether it's black humor, whether it's just to make it realistic. As we know, when you're in super tense situations, sometimes a laugh is the best thing that feels real. So yeah, I'm always looking for those moments.
Was your shooting schedule for before your father finds us, was that 15 days as well?
Yeah, usually it's about 15 days, 14
Yeah.
to 15 days. And yeah, which again sounds ambitious. Same with Hallmark. Hallmarks are 15-day shoots.
Yeah.
We always have 3 weeks prep. So
Got it.
seems kind of fast. But again, usually the crew is a very well-oiled machine, and we had such an A-list crew. Yeah, they were wonderful.
I always love to ask this question for our directors. Having done this for so long, I imagine there are things that you just always love to incorporate in. Some directors say, I like to really work with mirrors. Others say, I love to shoot through things. What are some of those things that, we would say, well, that's Jason Bourque right there?
Oh, that's funny. For a while, I always had the same Agent Jenkins. She was actually played by Sharon Taylor. I would work her in all my Lifetime movies. My own little multiverse. I would do like Brookswood. It's a high school that I do a lot of shooting at. So I usually make it the town of Brookswood whenever I write these scripts, and when I do my director polishes.
Yes.
But I do find that I love camera movement, but it has to be motivated. I do love reflections. I think most directors are all about that. Sometimes a production designer that might be very annoying for them, and sometimes also for scripty continuity, because you never want to see the film crew, kind of reflected in a mirror. Although my own pet peeve doing Christmas movies is those reflective Christmas decorations on Christmas trees. That kills me. We're in there with like hairspray because you got to like dull it. So you got to spray them all. And it's like, why don't we just, why? They're too shiny. I can see my face in that. You can see the camera. So anyway, it's one of the pitfalls of shooting Christmas trees. Um, but yeah, I definitely feel like I have my own style though. Each show has its own cinematic language, but I do feel that honestly, I want to be the Martin Scorsese of Hallmarks and Lifetime movies. So I have a history of my minors in film studies.
Yeah.
So I literally, this is a funny thing. I could show you a Christmas movie and say, hey, that's a Stanley Kubrick shot. Hey, that's a Hitchcock shot. Hey, that's a David Fincher. It's
That's awesome.
it's all in there, the cinematic language, because I grew up on movies from the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
90s.
I love that. That is
Yeah.
awesome. Are you a like one take and go kind of director, or a let's try it 5 different ways type of director?
I choose my battles, and as a veteran, I know what hills are the ones to die on.
Yeah.
So I will blast through something if I know I have an emotional scene coming up. And that's the one that I need those actors to play, and we got to get a whole lot of different takes and coverage. I've worked with a lot of first-time directors, and it's the biggest mistake is that they can spend all their time on two people talking on a beach when they have a big action sequence to do at the end of the day. And by the time they get to that, they just don't have time to complete the day. So that for me is something that I feel very confident in knowing again what battles to fight.
Yeah.
So Yeah. So that being said, I have done 1 to 2 takes, and then if it's something that's very emotional, I might say, "Hey, listen, we're not going to start on that big master because I've had that discussion with you as an actor. Let's do your close up first because I know that they want to get teary eyed, but they can only do that once. So we're just
Yeah.
going to put all the time into making that one take amazing." So it's yeah, a lot of levels to it. Yeah, it's when I make those decisions, I try to work in a lot of different factors, all to do with, again, with getting the best performance.
And it's from experience. It's from all of the
Yeah,
experience that you've had.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Knowing that sometimes, why shoot a big wide master if I know it's an emotional scene and it's all going to play in close-ups.
Yeah.
How can I design those scenes so they're economically they work. And I've done movies. It's funny. I did one. Oh, it was with Andrew Walker.
Yeah.
Was in Andrew Walker, and
Oh
it was
yeah.
yeah, it was a Christmas movie. Trying to think of her name. Anyway, we had like this amazing oneer where I had to introduce like 12 characters, and it's a family movie, and it's like my big fat Greek wedding. It's like she's new to this family, and she's being introduced to every cousin, every aunt, you name it, every nephew and niece. And I did it as sort of like a oneer was
Oh
how I
yeah.
was able to
Yeah.
do it. So it takes a while to block it out, and it's a
Mhm.
dance, it's
Mhm.
choreography. But otherwise, it would have taken an entire day to shoot it, and we can shoot it instead in like an hour. So it's knowing when to make those decisions. Well, it was
Yeah.
called my Christmas Family Tree.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Amy was the lead in that, and but that was and it worked out. I think it was the highest rated Hallmark movie that year. Um, but again, it's the family units were so big. I had to be very creative in order to both make my day and keep it cinematic.
Yeah. Okay, I'm really going to put you on the spot with this
Good,
one.
good.
So, if you were to say, because this, we'll share this out a few days before the upcoming Lifetime. In the meantime, if somebody were to get off of this podcast and say, I'm going to go watch a Jason Bourque film, what's the first thing that you would say? Go watch this one. And I know
Ooh,
there's 50 of them, but what's one that comes to mind right off that you're proud of?
I would say Game of Love.
Okay. That
Yeah,
one got some awards too, didn't it?
it did. I won Best Director for that, and it's a niche because it had to do with a board game company, and the creation of a board game, and the amount of work we had to put into it was insane. But what was fantastic was that because this is a cinematic language that I mentioned, because it's about board games, we found locations that felt like board games.
Wow.
So if I'm doing like an aerial shot and we had the two leads taking a walk, we shot it in like a park that looks like snakes and ladders.
Oh,
Or,
cool.
we had another location looking straight down on top because life's a big game that
Yeah.
literally looked like a Monopoly board.
That's
And
so
so
cool.
that again, coming back to the cinematic language, it's like, what can we do to elevate it visually that fits the themes of the script? So that worked out perfectly for me. So that I would say is one to watch.
Okay.
Kimberly Sustad was the lead,
That's awesome.
and she's amazing. Like she plays a lone wolf. She's fantastic.
She's so great. She's so great. Jason, what other project or projects can you talk about right now?
Um, it's interesting. I jump around a lot, so I do have a lot of thrillers that I'm working on. I just finished a rom-com script that it's crazy big. It's Hallmark on steroids. It's like
Okay.
I think it would have to be a Netflix or an Amazon. Um, but it all takes place in Dubai, actually.
Wow.
So we'll see, and then a few other projects that I'm honestly I have to keep my fingers in about a dozen different pots, I find,
Okay.
and most directors have to do that as well.
Okay.
I do have a big action movie that we're going out to some very big names, so that one I'm hugely excited about as well. And I'm going to be starting. It looks like a TV series. I got a block of a TV series in the fall.
That's so cool.
Less to be busy. It's this industry has taken a lot of curveballs,
Yeah.
since COVID and strikes and everything going on. So luckily, again, I keep at it.
That's great.
Yeah. So
Can you,
exciting.
will we see anything Hallmark Christmas wise this
Ooh, Yes, of
Christmassy time?
course. Yes. So
Okay.
I just completed filming a movie. Robert Buckley is in it. He's the lead. It's called Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper.
Oh,
Uh,
yes.
it's fantastic. Again, with Kimberly was in it. Rob plays this crazy fun character, almost like a PC version of Will Ferrell from Anchorman, combined with like a Ted Lasso type character.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he always has the worst Christmases ever. Every Christmas, terrible things happen to him. And we got a lot of stunts, being hit in the
That
face by Christmas trees, falling off of like, just crazy stunts and very fun.
totally,
Yeah, it's
totally sounds like Robert Buckley.
he kind of reminds me of like John Ritter when he was young. Like he does a lot, he
Oh
can do
my gosh.
a lot of physical comedy.
Yes.
And it's a skill that not a lot of some of these male leads are willing to kind of go that route.
Yeah.
But again, he has that ability because he's a comedy genius. Much like Kimberly, we have the script, but they have the ability to provide something incredibly funny on the heads and tails of these scenes.
Yeah.
And kind of like a Judd Apatow type style, you can just
Yeah.
let it roll, and they can give multiple different incredibly funny takes.
Yeah.
So that style of comedy, we fully embraced, and yeah, I can't wait for people to see it. It feels like we're sort of like the not to say we went rogue or anything, but it feels a little different, a little more scrappy than the usual Christmas movie.
I followed both of their, careers, more Roberts, all the way back to like One Tree Hill and stuff. I never put that together with the John Ritter, but you're so right. And somehow he's still cool in the process
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
But you are so right. I never even thought of that.
Yeah, it's a
Wow.
funny. It's yeah. There's not a lot of actors out there that can do it at that level. But that's yeah. It was funny. That's who he kind of reminded me of. Anyway, I suspect I don't know the date yet. We just sent the cut to Hallmark, and then they kind of lean in with all the notes.
Yeah.
But boy, that was a fun time. I felt so lucky, honestly, to be able to do, working with Alexa and then working with Kimberly and Rob and Jaeda, but to do it back to back. Like we literally finished the thriller, and as I was finishing my director's cut, I started prep on Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper. So that was fantastic. Literally, as we talked about how to flip from one to the other, that was
Yeah.
like back to back.
That's what you did.
Yeah. So and hugely happy with both experiences were fantastic.
That's great. So, is there a project or a genre that you haven't tackled yet that you would like to try out? I
You know,
imagine with your history, you've probably tried it all, right?
I've jumped around, but to be honest, it's I do love features,
Okay.
television movies. I know it's such a gray zone, because so many of these now turn up on streamers.
Yeah.
But I do love features. I love doing projects that honestly I can shoot longer than 15 days.
Yeah.
So for
Yeah.
me, the dream projects are like 20 days, 25 days, bigger budgets, I think, only because it just allows me to, it's the tip of the iceberg, honestly, what I'm capable of. I
Yeah.
truly love MOWs, but doing the feature work where you can hit also that other audience, I think
Hmm.
is ultimately the dream. And I'm always working away at that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could totally see that. You're skilled at honing it in on 15 days, but constantly thinking, but if I had another day, but if
Yes.
had
Oh,
if I had
the
another
pain
million, if I had
pain
another
of being a
day.
director, we secretly hold all that weight inside as we smile through it, knowing that our shot list is like, oh, great, we went from 50 shots down to 25. We're constantly editing, losing shots and adapting, and it a lot of creative curveballs. I think a lot of the best directors, I think, know how to adapt, and yeah, that's what you got to do on these ones.
Got it.
So it's a lot of that going on behind the scenes. Or like I said, only the directors know what they've had to like truly
Yeah.
adapt to get it down to the 15-day schedule.
Okay.
But yeah, again, both those movies that I mentioned worked out fantastic. And for me, they both feel like very cinematic.
Got it. Do you got time for a couple of fun little quick getting to know Jason questions?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
All right. What is your, since we talked a little bit about Christmas movie there, what's your go-to Christmas movie each year?
Oh, it's National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Without a doubt.
Classic.
That's like it's the number one. With yeah, I could watch that every Christmas, and I usually do.
There you go. Do you have a go-to thriller?
That's a good question. It's actually a sci-fi thriller called The Thing. John Carpenter made it. I'm a huge Kurt Russell fan, and
Yes.
yeah, I play this character McCready. I love The Thing. It's part of my generation, I think. The couple years after that, he made one called Big Trouble in Little China. All these old Kurt Russell
Oh yeah.
movies,
Yeah.
love them.
Yeah.
Love those.
That's cool. Do you have a favorite snack or drink on set when you need to get that boost during a long day?
Oh boy. I'm feeling like I'm getting too old for those like power drinks because like, you know, I drink a lot of coffee. That's my mental lubricant.
That's fine.
Yeah. So I would say it's usually just coffee.
Um, if you could shoot a movie anywhere in the world, no budget limits, where would it be?
Oh wow. That's a good one. I'd love to shoot. I've done documentaries globally. I've shot in South Africa and throughout New Zealand and Australia. But the UK, I did some documentary work there. I'd love to go back to the UK to shoot a movie. Um, yeah, I think I would say the UK. It's funny. I did a sci-fi series in Doha in Qatar with Tahmoh Penikett. Actually, funny enough and a crazy cast. Eric Roberts was in it as well, and Robert Carradine. And that I loved. Like I love to travel. So anytime I get the opportunity to do a movie in a completely different place,
Yeah.
all the Hallmark rom-coms abroad, I'd love to get in on those, where they shoot in Ireland and
You need
Scotland.
a passport to love movie. That's what you need.
That's what they are. Yeah, I would love to do a Passport to Love movie. Italy would be fantastic.
Everybody listening or watching the podcast, tag Jason and tag Hallmark and let him know. Send
Passport to
Jason
Love.
to the UK, right?
I'm in. I'm totally in. I love travel.
What is the first thing after you wrap? What is the first thing that you do?
Cry on my way home because it's like so many sacrifices. No, it's like that's a good question. I don't have like a tradition to be honest.
Yeah.
I think early on I had a director of photography that liked to smoke cigars, but that didn't last long. That was a little, not my thing. And I don't drink, so it's not like doing a shot or anything.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
You
good
just
question.
celebrate, right?
I just celebrate. Honestly, I got like serious radio, and I'm an '80s kid, so I just listen
Yeah.
to. It's usually some kind of crazy '80s song as I'm driving home on the last day, just with a big grin on my face because
Yeah.
we usually made something pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And the
You
'80s
can't go
rock,
wrong with a good 80s rock, maybe a little bit of synthesizer in there, a good
I
beat.
know, I
Turn it
know.
way up and enjoy it, right?
Yeah, totally, totally. I do that a lot. Yeah, I listen to those power ballads on the way to work and on the way home with that yeah '80s on 8.
I love it. I do too, often. So, Jason, tell everybody where they can follow you to stay up to date on all of your projects.
Oh, great. So it's Jason Bourque one is the big one. Bourque one, and that's Instagram. That's probably the best way to check me out. I am on X on Twitter, but I mostly stick to Instagram and I am on Facebook. But Instagram is probably the best place to find me.
So we are excited to look forward to what you've got coming on later on in the year. We'll be looking for that, but we're really excited for Saturday, July 26th
Woo.
on Lifetime, Before Your Father Finds Us. It's going to be airing from 8, 7 Central. So we're thrilled to check that out and so excited that you are part of this project and can't wait to see it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I hope everyone enjoys it. We put a lot of work into this one.
Yeah. So I want to remind everybody, if you've enjoyed our conversation today, to be sure to share, like, subscribe to this podcast. If you want to hear more behind the scenes, awesome chats with people like Jason Bourque. Jason, thank you so much for being here. It has been great to talk to you.
Thanks, Stephanie. Loved
All
it.
right.
Awesome.
Bye-bye.